Welcome everyone to our Tuesday evening class, and I prepared this game to show you. The game Levon Aronian just played recently, about 1 week ago, against Alexander Grischuk. It's a very important game. Not only this game helped Aronian to tie for first in a 2018 Sinquefield Cup tournament, it also helped him with this win to qualify to the London Chess Classic Final Four, basically. It's a Grand Chess Tour final tournament. So if he had lost this game, he might not have qualified. And so it was very big game. So he played d4. And Grischuk, playing with the black pieces, was in a more difficult situation. He had to play for a win. And how do you play for a win against a 2800 opponent when you're black? And against d4. Against e4, okay, you have an obvious choice, right? When an opponent plays e4 and you need to play for a win, what do you play? I like the French, yes, I play the French. But to play for a win in the last round, not quite sure, you know? So you play the Sicilian defense, okay? So, but against d4, what do you play? You know, it's not easy. Maybe a King's Indian, but still, there are a lot of lines where, you know, you struggle equalizing. So it's very hard to play for him. So Grischuk played d6, knight bd7, and we see some kind of e5, early e5 setup going out of the theory. So Aronian plays c4 normal, c6, knight c3, e4, knight h4. Knight goes on h4 in this position. There are other possibilities here as well to play knight g5 or knight d2, but he just played knight h4. The idea behind this move, just to attack, I mean, the knight was under attack, so you move away, and now you're threatening to take the pawn, and at some point you also have the possibilities to play knight f5 and keep the knight on a very active square. So Grischuk played d5. What else to do? He has to protect the pawn, so he played d5, strengthening the center. Castles, bishop b4. This position has only been played 7 times previously. Okay, so we are already in a pretty unfamiliar situation, and both players were spending time. At this moment, Grischuk must have spent at least already 20 minutes on a clock. And that was the critical part. And you'll see a lot of the Aronian's decisions based on this game was because Grischuk was low on time. You know, and that being low on the clock was very costly for him. CD. Aronian spent more than 30 minutes to make this seemingly simple capture, right? But it's not so easy, because he's planning to play this move f3. And this is already a novelty. Novelty. Everybody know what is novelty? Yeah. Neil.
Novelty is basically a new move introduced in an opening.
Excellent. New move. Completely new move. Never been played before. That's your novelty, f3. And what is the other move that have been played before? What's the most natural move that jumps at you here, that you want to play here?
Bishop f4.
Adi.
Bishop g5.
When the bishop is on b4, the pawn is on d5. From the French defense, you should know this idea. What move do you play to attack? Yes. Queen b3, of course. Queen b3 was played previously. Okay? Putting pressure on the bishop, putting pressure on d5. Got it? All right. f3, novelty. Played instantly by Aronian because he spent a lot of time here. Okay? Aronian spent more than 30 minutes to make this seemingly simple capture. Okay? But 30 minutes was spent. He was calculating his further plan. This was the only time that he spent that much time in the game. And f3, novelty. Bishop takes in 3. Incredibly, Grischuk spent 43 minutes before capturing the knight. 43 minutes, guys. You have An hour and 40 minutes for the whole game. And by this moment, Grischuk already spent nearly 30 minutes. So spending another 43 minutes was very costly, you know? Very costly. In general, my experience has been, you know, if you start spending more than 15 minutes on a move, you know, you already know the move that you're going to play. So in very, very rare occasions, you spend more than that much time, because there's not so much you can calculate, because you don't know what moves Aronian going to play here. You know, you know, the problem is the e4 is hanging, so you have to either castle. He didn't want to castle because perhaps he didn't like this. e5. In between move. Intermezzo. Captura. And bishop g5. So this is just one of the lines that could happen. Knight f5. We probably have to take rook f5. Very slightly better position for white. Okay? But that didn't happen. Again, decision that should have been made maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, not 43 minutes. Because that's just too much time for a capture like this, because you don't know what type of plan white will choose. So it's not like, you know, it's not like it's a concrete line, 10, 15 moves you're trying to calculate. So he castles. Bishop a3, rook e8. It's very, very important for white to get a knight on f5, because if you, let's say, play one move, one random move, of course, Aronian not going to play the knight b6, and now black is better, because he's threatening to play knight c4, knight f5, he's got bishop f5, so that's the idea to remember, okay? Knight c4, and bishop is controlling the f5 square. So that's the idea to remember. So rook e8, knight f5, of course. A lot of players as black would get scared immediately here, thinking, oh, this knight is coming here. But Grischuk comes up with the right plan here. He played really well at this moment. He played quite well here. So let's see if you can play like Alexander Grischuk. Adi.
Knight b6.
Perfect. Knight b6 attacking the knight, so knight d6 comes in. So it's a little bit of a problem here what to do with the rook. Things are not looking that clear. But now, what did Grischuk play here? He spent some time, but he came up with a very strong idea, in my opinion. You have two moves with the rook, e7, and not perfect because I can take on c8, rook c8.
I was thinking knight c4.
Okay, 1 second, Neil. And if you play rook e6, it's not ideally either. You know, like he can probably. Rook is kind of not well placed here. Bishop h3 ideas later on. So, what did Grischuk play, Neil?
Knight c4.
Knight c4 by Neil. Interesting and logical play by Grischuk, as the knight is well placed on c4. He is happy to sacrifice the exchange for the strong positional compensation. Okay? So strong positional compensation here. Let me explain why. If you takes. Now bishop is hanging on a3. You have to move back. There are two threats here. Capture and capture. So he has to go here. Pushy. Locks in the bishop. b6. Bishop d7. Despite being down a full exchange, black has a very strong compensation due to very powerful and untouchable knight on c4 and a strong wedge pawn on e3. Everybody know what is a wedge pawn? Pawn on a 3rd rank for black or on a 6th rank for white, that is a wedge pawn, guys. You should remember that, or make a note if you don't know that. That's a pawn that is obstructing opponent's position. So it's a very powerful pawn here. I like this for black, actually. I quite like this. There's no way to remove the knight from c4 here. And, you know, Position is probably roughly equal here, but I think easier to play for black. All right, so Levon took on e4, knight e4, queen c2, putting pressure on e4. And now queen d5, blockading it. And now here we saw an instant decision, instantaneous decision by Aronian. He already had anticipated this, and he made his decision that if this happened, this is how I'm going to approach this position. How did he do that? How did he play this out? The big game that helped him to tie for first in this tournament. What did he play here? Again, computer recommendation is rook f4, f5, rook f1. You know, some play like that, bishop d7, but it's going to be very, very hard to win, you know, this position. So draw is the most likely outcome would be a draw. That's what he did. He played here rook f7. Look at that. Played instantly by Aronian. Objectively, this is not a good decision. Okay? But it was calculated risk, since Grischuk had about 9 minutes left for the next 22 moves. By the time he realized it's just the time. Calculated risk, guys. It's a moment. You don't play rook f7. I don't see how he's going to win this game. Black has a very easy game. Bishop f5, rook e6, rook a8, bishop g6. You just sit like this, tight. There's no way to break this position. Yeah, you have a nice bishop on a3 just, but it's kind of empty, you know. It's just attacking the empty diagonal. There is nothing on that diagonal. And in the long run, you might be in danger, because if you somehow exchange light square bishops, light squares are going to be very weak. Strategically, this is good for black, actually, this position. So in the long term, if you don't do anything immediately, this move actually, if black plays precisely, he is almost winning here. So next few moves, Grischuk played perfectly. So he took, of course. And now a very important move is bishop f5. You cannot play king g8 because he takes advantage of your back rank problems. Takes, and we see the back rank issue. That's the problem of being undeveloped, okay? You don't want to put the king on an e file because he'll take, and also if you put on g6, again, rook f4. Something like this runs into rook f4. So bishop f5, g4, again, played quickly, g6. Very important to keep the secure square on e4, okay? Secure the e4 square. And now, he didn't take because if to capture after take, yeah, this looks just fine for black. Black will play rook e6. I mean, this and this. Rook on e6 first. First idea would be to play rook e6. So here, rook e6, put the rook on g8, and then can even walk with the king. King e8, king d7, and black will just be very, very comfortable. So queen c1 played, and this is where Grischuk made the first mistake. He played the move king g7. Since you know that that's the mistake, can you play this position properly here? And don't make that mistake. What's the best way to continue here? What is the best move here? The point here is white wants to get a queen on h6. But you can, you know, and the bishop is guarding this f8 square, so that's kind of important here. Because you never have this rook f8. But what setup black should use here? Yes, Ashish? Yes. The winning idea was rook e6. And now let me show you what would happen. So queen h6, king g8. There's not much left to take. Queen h5, and now, yeah, you don't have rook f8 here because the bishop is there, but you just have to play rook f6. It's possible Grischuk missed rook f6 and abandoned this position thinking that there is no way to defend the f5 pawn. But rook f6 is very strong. Bishop c1, because bishop is not doing anything. Now black wants to go king h8 and rook g8. This is what black wants to do here. Something like this. And then he'll just be winning. So rook f8. Completely winning position for black as he has extra material and an attack. Okay? This could have allowed Grischuk to tie for first and possibly qualify to the Grand Chess Tour finals in London. Imagine, chess game could be very cruel, you know. One moment, one mistake, and from winning everything and then finishing like in the middle of the pack, you know, and not qualifying. So this is a big game. It's worth a lot, this game. So, yeah. All you have to do is just find this next two moves. And here, as you can see, the attack is, there's no attack anymore here. Black will just go rook g6 next move, and positionally he can even sacrifice on g2 if needed and try to win this. But he didn't see that. This is where things started to go wrong. Grischuk makes the first mistake. He made 3 mistakes here. So first mistake. First mistake by Grischuk, which was the result of time trouble. Okay? Because when you're in time trouble, you start imagining things a little bit. You know, you start worried about things. So this was a problem because you don't want to put a king on the collar of the bishop. And you will see he'll make a similar mistake like that later on. So takes, takes, bishop e4. Okay, now it's an important position here. So if Grischuk wasn't in a situation where he had to play for a win, right, he might have been able to just, you know, finish the game with this move. Just take. If takes with the rook, this ends the game immediately with a draw. So check here. So the threat is rook g8 or queen g8. Just once the queens come off the board, black will win. So check. And here you don't have time to take on f5 because check. Actually you have, but it's still a draw. Check and queen e4. Now rook g2 check is coming, rook e8 is coming, so you have nothing better than just to give a draw. It's likely Grischuk saw this move, but knowing the tournament situation, he didn't go for it. So he took this way. Objectively, this is a stronger move. Queen g5 and queen f4. And now, black king is a little bit of danger now. So he played a strong h6 with the idea of queen g5 and also creating an empty square for the king on h7. Empty square, okay? Where you put your king on. So there's not much to do here. Queen f6, just king h7. Black is just winning. And black wants to play now rook g8, king h7. So queen c7 check. And here comes the second mistake. You have 3 options to go here. I want to give you the option here. Which one is the best, which one is the second best, and which one is the bad move? Grischuk made a mistake. And this mistake was a bit surprising to me because it just looked like pretty clear that the king will be vulnerable there because of a very common idea in this position, in this kind of positions. So let's see here. The 3 options you have is 1, 2, and 3. Obviously, rook e7, queen f7. So, Ashish, your first move. Yeah, that's the bad move. That's what he did. Adi. Second best move. And the best move now, by method of elimination, we arrive to the best move. And that is, Neil?
King d6.
Correct. Okay, king h8 is bad because you're putting the king in a corner and on a dark square. That means this bishop is going to come, do d6, and then e5 going to come with a check. King g8 would have been a little bit better, but the best is, of course, king g6. No checks, guys. No checks. This is the safe square for the king because there are no checks to the king. It's possible king f2 he missed. Okay, but if nothing else, he could bail out with rook f8 check and just take, trade rooks. But no need to. Look at this. Attacking the queen. If rook g1 check, he can even just play king h5 even, yeah? Yeah, this is a little bit risky, but check. King e3. Rook comes to the 6th rank, bishop b4, rook g8. And black has a big advantage. Not quite winning, but big advantage. Okay? Grischuk's second mistake, which throws away the entire advantage, okay? By common principle, black should not put his king on the same color as white's bishop, right? Because the bishop is going to come in. Of course, Levon played bishop d6. Rook g8 correct. Rook g6 correct. King e3. This was very well played by Levon, putting the king on e3. It's very safe. And now, rook d8, double question mark. With this, with Grischuk having less than a minute on the clock, this was the last major blunder, costing him the game. Which move? What is white trying to do here, actually? If you allow this move, then you're in big trouble. You cannot allow this move to happen. White has like a quiet threat, a silent threat, okay? That you have to prevent here. Which move I'm talking about here? What's the silent threat here, Neil?
Rook f6.
Rook f6, I take queen f7. I'm not too worried about rook f6. Yeah, this king f2, king a3 was very, very, very clever by Aronian, you know, because his king was weak as well, but he found this heaven, you know, with the king, and it's all thanks to this. Again, it's possible to bail out with rook f8 check and take and probably draw king and queen endgame, you know. But again, Grischuk is trying to win. So what's the strong move that white is threatening and the move that you need to prevent? Yeah, actually that e4 pawn, it's actually black wants to lose that pawn, so he can put a rook on e-file. That pawn is more like obstructing, you know. Silent threat, Caleb. Queen e7, guys. Queen e7. Queen comes here, black position. Black cannot move anything after this. The rook cannot go anywhere, and then he would just go h4, h5 and win the game. So the silent move is queen e7. That cannot be allowed. You cannot allow that to happen. So the only move that holds the position, maybe even slightly worse still, is
Rook e8.
yes, Neil. Rook e8, only move. So there's just a couple of moves, a4, queen e6. Okay, it's a little bit easier to play. It's a little bit easier to play for a white here, but should be close to a draw, okay? But he played queen d8, and that's a double question mark. And now what's the winning move?
Queen e7.
That's it. Winning move which Aronian easily found. Black's pieces are now completely paralyzed. Nothing you cannot move, you know. Anything you move is going to be worse. It's possible he missed this. He thought he had this maybe. But he missed a classical decoy idea. Which decoy I'm talking about here? Should be more hands.
F8.
Well, raise your hand first. Yeah. Okay. What's the move?
Rook f8 check.
Perfect. And then you take that. Excellent. So here, Grischuk played b5, and now you need to push the defender away. How are you going to push the defender away? Adik.
H4.
Correct.
H5.
Adi. And now rook has to go back. He couldn't leave the g file because rook g1 was just going to be a checkmate, okay? He couldn't quite leave that, so he had to go here, and now that weakened his 6th rank. What are we going to do about the 6th rank? Strong players. What are we going to do? Neil.
Queen f6.
Better.
Rook f6.
Yes. Rook f6, putting pressure. Now he takes. And he resigned basically because he gets mated. What's the move? Adi.
Queen F7, King H8.
Adi. What queen h7? My queen is there. My queen is there. No. Ashish, go. Yeah, and he resigned. Incredible turnaround of events, yeah? And Aronian was rewarded for his aggressive play, and he tied for first with this win and qualified to the candidates tournament. And rook g6 and queen g7 mate. Okay, so this was a very interesting game with lots of nuances. Okay, very difficult to play in time trouble. I can tell you, in time trouble, it's so easy to make a mistake. So easy to miss queen e7. It seems like for a moment you could just relax. There is no threats. You can play rook d8, but rook d8 just loses the game. You know, it would have been better off for him to even pass a move here, because queen e7 you still have queen e6, you know. But once you put it there, then it's just very difficult, because you go here and you cannot play queen e6 anymore. So that was the problem here. And just this idea, without h4 h5, it's not so clear if you have a concrete plan, you know. Not so clear if you have a concrete plan to break here. Doesn't look like there is something easy. Then queen g7 mate. Okay, very good. So again, you can find this game Aronian-Grischuk. And one of the most important lessons we learned is time management, everybody. You know, it's not a good sign to spend 40 minutes on one move, 43 minutes, 20 minutes, okay? 30 minutes. So try to limit, 15 minutes, unless it's like some very, very complicated position, okay? So it's very important to make sure you limit your thinking and manage your time properly to avoid. Because here, imagine you're right here. Grischuk has a winning position, but no time. And sometimes time is more important, yeah? Because here, if he had the time, he could have just played the called rook e6. And then just rook f6, king h8, rook g8. Okay. All right. So that's the game. So let's do a little overview of the game to make sure you remember this game. And go ahead. Start the first move. Ashish. d4, knight f6, continue. d6. What did he play here? He didn't play c4. I think he played g3. Knight d7. Continue. e5. c6. Knight c3. He never took on e5. e4. And now where's the knight going? Here, a lot of people wouldn't go to h4. A lot of people would go to g5 or d2, no? But h4 is good because it has this f5 square potential. This position played only 7 times, yeah? CD. Aronian himself, spent a lot of time here, but at least he had a concrete plan. He said, okay, CD, CD, I'm going to play f3. And from here on, he tried to manage his clock better. f3, played instantly, and again, N is for novelty, new move that had never been played before. X. Knight f5, knight b6. And here I think a very important positional idea here. How many of you would have played this move? I feel like some of you, or a lot of chess players here, wouldn't think too much about that move. They would just try to improve the knight, and try to move the rook first, and do. But no, that's not what he did. Knight c4, activating the knight. attacking on a3. Attacking the bishop, and again, this would be a very strong compensation. This would be a very, very strong compensation, okay? And the next move. All right, I want to ask, how many of you would have done this in a real game? What do you think? Anybody? Well, rook f4 is the typical move. Rook f4, I think, is the computer move, actually. There's a computer move, Ashish. Here. Bishop g6. And unfortunately, I go rook e6, rook a8. There's, what are you going to do next? Tough. Played instantly by Aronian. Objectively, this is a bad decision, but it was calculated risk. All right, excellent. Great job, guys. And again, you can go over the Aronian game again if you like. It was very interesting, complicated game, a big game, you know. I picked that one because it was the game that worth a lot. It wasn't just any game they played and won. That game was a last round game. It was a huge game, you know. So we saw that, and then we did the study. And so thanks everybody for coming tonight, and hopefully see you all on Thursday, okay? We have 2 lectures Thursday evening. All right.